So, good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome you all for this event today. First of all, happy Women's Day to all of you, to our panelists and to our attendees. So, we are stronger together if we support each other, if we are there for each other. So, on that note, I like to introduce our panelists today, Dr. Poojitha Suraneni. So, Dr. Poojitha is MS Ops at Gynae, and she is expertise in laparoscopic surgeries, and she manages high risk pregnancies. Not just that, she also has a lot of papers and publications to her credit. So welcome, Dr. Pujitha. Good to have you here. Our next panelist is Divya Thampi. Divya is a growth coach and helps independent working professionals move from procrastination to consistent peak performance. She has facilitated over 2,500 one-on-one coaching and counseling sessions, and she has trained over 15,000 people across the world. She also has hosted 600 live group coaching sessions on emotional well-being for health and fitness platform Goki. She is an ambassador for Fit India movement for emotional fitness. Welcome, Divya. Happy to have you on panel today. The next panelist is Sujatha Datta. Sujatha is a software engineer turned fashion designer and entrepreneur and founder of Rahasya Creations. She has worked in IT for about 11 years. Being an ambitious woman, she always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's why she quit her job and started her own boutique. Welcome, Sujatha. Happy to have you here with us today. Sujatha, are you there? Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Are you not able to see me? Am I not visible?
Yeah. We can see you and hear you well, yes. So with everyone's permission, let's start with the discussion today. I'll begin this event with a question to all my panelists, starting with Dr. Pujitha. What do you think it is important to celebrate International Women's Day? Over to you, Doctor.
A happy Women's Day to all the women, the superwomen, of course, all over the world. It's a pleasure meeting everybody. I mean, exclusively women at this particular point of time. So this is really a great opportunity. Thanks for including us. So the Women's Day, this should not be for the day. As usual, we all know this respect should not be for a day or so. Even I can see my husband wishing me happy Women's Day, my daughter wishing me happy Women's Day in the morning. Of course, they respect us. That is the reason we are here and we are talking as a special woman. I'm proud to say this. We all are like that. So family support is always necessary, and this respect has to be continued, not only for a day or two. And see, maybe this is an opportunity to tell lots of women, please take care of your health. As a gynecologist, I always feel if you are healthy, everybody in your family will be healthy. Now, this is a time maybe because of COVID, or we don't know, we are losing lots of youngsters, and that may be females, that can be a male. We are seeing film stars, we are seeing our family members, we are seeing our friends who are being expired even at the age of 35, which is very bad. So I feel like this is an opportunity to at least educate our women to be healthy first themselves and to take care of the family also. And we are being multitasking, which is a proud moment for us. We are taking care of family as well as our jobs, our career. At the same time, lots of women are being neglecting their health, which should not be. That is very important for us to keep up with our health. As a doctor, as a gynecologist, I request all the women to take care of the health, at the same time to concentrate on career. Even the pregnant females, I'll never discourage them if they are fit. Never discourage them to stop their career. Though they feel like getting pampered, also encourage them to go ahead. No problem. Enjoy your profession. But see, this is a time where we have to realize ourselves, start exercising, start concentrating on health. So yes, let us proceed. Hope so. This session is going to help lots of women, and they're going to be healthy. From my side, whatever the help or the duty or responsibility I have to do, I think I can do this through this group this day.
Thank you, Dr. Sujatha. Very well explained. Women are the building block of our society, and they need to take care of their health and well-being for them to, take care of their family. Thank you so much, Doctor. So, moving on to Divya Thampi. Divya, what are your views? Why is it important to celebrate International Women's Day?
Hi, Supreet. Thank you for that question. And I think, Dr. Poojitha said, there needs to be more than one day in the year. And I think because women form a very large portion or ratio of the population, and there is a lot of disparity on the basis of gender, which is very unfortunate, which impacts all aspects of life. And I think this day is required for all of us, whether man or woman or transgender, for us to reflect on what are some of these differences that exist? What are some things that we can do to bring about a shift so that each human being who lives in this country and outside can be truly themselves, can fully grow into their full potential. And that way, I think Women's Day highlights, gives us an opportunity to think a little about the differences that exist and what we can do about it. So yes, it is an important day, and hopefully that practice gets carried on. That is why we are all together. We are having this discussion only because it's a Women's Day. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So yes. Hopefully it encourages us to have more of these discussions in these setups, but also at homes, and in communities and societies. So yeah.
Yes, at least we have a day to sit and reflect how we can, do things differently, how we can take care of our health and all those things. Thank you so much, Divya. Moving on to Sujatha. Sujatha, what's your take? What do you think? Why is it important to celebrate Women's Day?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. Thank you for that question. And yes, thank you for giving the opportunity to be here in this panel. So I feel that actually every day is our, as Dr. Pujitha said, as Divya said, attention not only from the family, from our friends, but also to each other. So all women standing for each other and supporting each other, helping each other grow, understanding each other. So that gives us an additional support system, and we can reflect upon it, as you rightly said. So yeah, it's but personally I feel every day is our day.
Right, Sujatha. Thank you so much for your views there. So now moving to these were some generic questions that we asked, the important ones. Now moving on to specific questions, Dr. Pujitha. Can you tell us what are the common gynecological symptoms for which women should seek consultation? They usually ignore those symptoms, but it's important to seek consultations. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah. So actually, but this is a very nice question. But as a gynecologist, this is a very huge question. I can say it's a big essay, the question you asked me, but generalized. See, I want to divide this. Maybe we have to divide in age wise. So every mother is worried about her daughter. Every grandmother is worried about her granddaughter and daughter. Mm-hmm. So this is like different age groups. So it's very different. It's very difficult to differentiate. Yes, this woman, this girl, this elder woman has to come to the hospital or something. So for suppose, see, nowadays, maybe I should cut short in a very, very single line. So maybe menarche is like early maturity. Every mother is having an worry about that. Why my daughter is getting changes very early in the sense that maturity changes. Nowadays, it's becoming more and more. I see even 7 years girl, little girls are coming with early menarches. So anything rearrangement apart from that, if you seek a doctor's advice, so early menarches are not good. Late menarche is nothing but maturity for everyone to understand. And late menarches are also is not good. Like, see, the cutoff age, we all should know. Today also, even in my OP, one mother asked me, my daughter reached 13, she didn't attain that maturity. Because nowadays we keep seeing every 11 years only, at 11 years only, we keep seeing that, yes, they are reaching that maturity levels. So till 16, you can feel confident. if you see the changes,
Mm.
right? So this is the basic thing I'm telling, and the most important thing where I want to focus today's session is like the CPC. It's becoming more and more nowadays. This has been started in the early ages, and that right from adolescence age, I have patients with 16 years old with high cholesterol levels and high acne and high grades of PCODs. So PCODs is nothing but a small chutku bubbles on the ovaries, which makes the girl look chubby in spite of doing exercises, having lots of acne. And these are the simple things. What we usually think is it's a teenage pimples. So
Yes.
generally, normal layman persons, we usually think it's a teenage pimples. But please don't ignore lots of acne, which is being in secondary changes of PCOD.
Okay.
So any tummy, see for elder women or the reproductive age women like 30 to 40 years of age, after delivery is having tummy is expected. But see why these young girls are having lots of tummy after 13 years. Young girls, I mean like chutku girls, like before 10 years having tummy is expected, but after that it has to little decrease. So this tummies should not be there. The alerting signs is like in spite of doing exercises, if the girl is not decreasing in weight, typical acne, hair fall, why these young girls has to have hair falls? Elder females having because of lack of hormones is being accepted. At least I enjoyed my without hair fall period for 35 years. After 35, we started having it. That is expected, and we need to seek some help. The young girls who are having this, and middle age, the first starting from middle age is like see, pregnancy difficulties is an entirely different this thing. I'm not including much into that. Delayed conception. If you are trying without any protection for 1 year, please seek the doctor's advice. And maybe the middle aged females, the more important thing is irregular cycles. Every female, I feel like almost 80% females will have their irregular cycles in between 35 to 45. Please don't opt hysterectomies. Hysterectomy is not the solution. This is the most important thing where I have to educate all the females not to go for removal of the uterus. Hysterectomy is nothing but don't remove your uterus, that is called bachedani or garbhasanchi in Telugu. Please don't remove it. It's very important organ which is going to impair your daily lives, and your hormones are going to get distorted, and your bone densities like bones will become very fragile. Fractures are increasing, back pains are increasing because of this. So irregular cycles, if you have any irregular cycles, heavy bleedings, please take the doctor support. Definitely there is a solution for that. We can make your life normal by giving little support. And the most common false myth here about irregular cycles is pills. Please don't hesitate if it is really required. If it is not required, doctors are not going to tell you. Possibles are the things where we have to concentrate, and if it is really required, use it. Any doctor is going to give you only temporarily. Sometimes nowadays I'm seeing the other side also. The people started accepting pills, but there is an over usage of that also. It should not be an over usage. It should not be unlimited usage or no usage at all. Go along with the doctor's advice, because there is a cutoff point where you should not use more than 3 years, more than 4 years, or you might not be fit for that. So without doctor's advice, don't take these pills, because people will feel very comforted by taking them. Their cycles will become regularized, their mood swings will be gone. These are all the regular complaints. Even normal PMS is also being increased at this particular point of age. So we should be little careful. So this is like endless, and the most common thing is white discharge. White discharge is common for every females in the cycle, but if you have itching and foul smell, it's time to reach the doctor. And the post-menopausal, first we should know what is a menopause. If you won't have period for 1 year, solid 1 year, even without a spotting, it's called menopause. Like cessation of cycles, you won't have cycles at all. That is called menopause. So you have to reach this by 52 on an average in India. At least by 54, you should reach menopause. So if you cross that, please don't compare with another females who lost their periods at 45 or who lost their periods at 56. Come and have a checkup. This is like an early detection for you. So come and have a checkup. There are lots of things to see whether it is normal or abnormal. If it is normal, we are going to leave you guys and you can wait for your natural menopause. But cutoff age in India is like 49.5 is average. Before 52, if you are not attaining menopause, please come and have a checkup. This is going to be a solution for early detection of lot of things. I don't want to disturb. by using huge words or something. But yes, early detection is very important for lots of diseases. So better seek doctors. And nowadays we are not seeing much, maybe because of the awareness in the woman, which we have to feel healthy, is like descent in the uterus. So there is a mass which is being felt in the vagina, which is not good. Don't feel embarrassed. Please come and seek the doctor's advice. So I think I might have covered the simple and common problems. But yes, anything abnormal, don't postpone the things. On the whole, whatever I can say is any abnormalities you see in your body, like irregular cycles, not decreasing in weight, or any other like symptoms of diabetes, hypertension, seek doctor's advice early.
Okay, so the important takeaway is be aware, be informed, do self check, and if you notice anything irregular and that shouldn't be there, go and seek advice. Thank you,
Yes.
doctor. Thank you. So moving on to next segment, Divya, this question is for you. How can we encourage more women to pursue entrepreneurship or senior leadership role in their career? How can we
Right.
do that?
Yeah. Great question, Supreet. So one of the first things I think is for women to start practicing self-leadership and leadership in their personal lives. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, there is a lot of socialization in our society. It's not only in India, but more so in a culture like India, where women or girls are socialized to be more passive. So there's this whole idea that if a good girl doesn't become aggressive ever, does not lose her temper, always is friendly with people, does not argue, etc., etc., right? And in that process, somewhere that takes the front seat, of
Yes.
getting everybody's validation, of being the good girl with everybody. When I say good girl, it's like the good wife, the good daughter, the good everything, right? And it shows up in so many different ways in our lives. So leadership really starts with self-leadership, where you really start taking initiatives and leadership in matters where you are not expected to take leadership. I'll give you very simple examples. A lot of times women may not get involved in financial decisions. So even when she is the one earning, and financial literacy may be low, may not be really actively involved in taking decisions about financial investments, etc. So it really starts from there. And this whole idea that a good working woman is also about being a good mother, take care of your home, do work, earn money, but your family should be your priority. So let's also being aware of the fact that there are social ideas which are putting pressure on us, and that we don't have to succumb to those ideas. Right. So taking initiatives. I remember in one of the interviews with Indra Nui, who's the ex-CEO of Pepsi, she shared this story, which is very beautiful. She said that when she was young, she has a sister who's a few years older to her. When she was young, and they used to be at the dinner table, and every night her mom would ask each of them to give a speech as if they were the prime minister of the company. Prime minister's speech. So each night, they would prepare and they would give a prime minister's speech. And just look at that one activity, what it does to you, right? So I think what we need is really pushing ourselves to take on things like these, take on challenges like these, where we have to push our comfort zone. That is a starting point. Yeah. And take a few risks, because what is an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is somebody who takes risks. And I think Sujatha is a great example of an entrepreneur, running multiple businesses. So take a few risks as far as investments are concerned. Take a calculated risks. Okay. So because again, women I think there is a lot of socialization about women not taking risks. Not taking risks is not always a good idea. Okay. And taking risks every once in a while is actually a good idea, because that's the only way we grow. We take risks, we sometimes lose, we sometimes win. And when we lose, we learn. When we win, we know, okay, this is the way to move forward. So taking those risks, whether it is in relationships, whether it is stretching yourself, whether it is asserting yourself in situations, coming up with ideas, bringing up initiatives, so that is a starting point. Meeting with more people. I'm working with a few young people, who are in their 20s and working with corporates. And I love to see how they are so willing to, absorb information which is useful to them. And one of the things that I tell them is, when you go out, when you have been sent by your company for a meeting to another state, another city or whatever, don't just stick to the 2-3 people and hang around with in your comfort zone. Go out, meet the people and executives or leaders and other people who are coming from different cities. Form that net. It's not just about leaders, okay, but the fact that this is an opportunity to network, to interact, to learn, to know more people, to expose yourself to more opportunities. So I think that is a starting point. And taking that, like putting your hand up and saying, I'd like to take on this project. Yeah. So
I understand is being literate is something different, but being empowered is something different. So we have
to empower ourselves, right? Nobody is going to sit there and, pull me up and say that, hey, come on, do this. So don't wait for that. And that's another thing. Thanks for bringing it up. I think a lot of times as women, we have a tendency to wait for somebody to tell us, to give us that permission and say, hey, come on, why don't you try this, right? So we don't have to wait. So that's the starting point of leadership.
That's a great insight, because if you can't stand for yourself, nobody else will. So first you have to take a stand, then, people will start supporting you. Thank you so much, Divya. Thank you. So moving on to next question in the line is to Sujatha. Sujatha, what made you leave your corporate job, take the risk, actually, and start your own venture? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, sure. That's a beautiful question, actually, Supreet. And it's a very, when I think about it, it's still kind of, sometimes fills me up with a lot of, I would say, pride that I had the courage to do that. Because when we are working in corporates, we are so stable, everything is so stable, we are getting good sum of money at the end of the month, and you just deal with work pressure and family. You don't have to worry about anything else much, actually. But then the reason why I quit, that's a question. So the reason why I quit was because um, since childhood, I don't know from where it came, but since childhood, I always had this dream to create something of my own. So, create something of my own, meaning which actually transpired into business. You create your own business where you employ people and all that. So that was always there in my mind, but I never had the clue as in what to start, how to start, and all that. So during our time, like, you have to study, you have to be an engineer or a doctor. That was the general trend. So I did software engineering, I got through in IT company, I worked there, and I was working and all. But then that satisfaction that one gets, I wasn't getting that. And then every day I would go to work and I would think that this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. But this continued for about 12, 13 years, actually. 13 years. And then, I don't know, one day finally I just thought that if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. On my deathbed, I actually thought these things, that on my deathbed, I will be thinking that you wasted your life. You got one life, you wasted it. You didn't take the opportunity to do something and to create something. So that's when I decided that I had to take the plunge. And so during when somebody decides, it's very important to have very good friends around you, that support system. So I just bounced off this idea with a very good friend of mine, and she also said that, yeah, and luckily we were going through the same phase. She was also thinking of quitting. She was in a different organization, and we were bouncing off ideas, and we both decided, okay, fine, we have our savings, whatever it is, let's plunge into this. We took that leap of faith. And then that's how I just took that leap of faith. I put down my papers, served the notice period, and started this entrepreneurial journey. So
So what is important is
that's my
basically
story.
listening to your inner voice, not letting it drown in the
Yes,
mundane daily
listening to
activities.
your heart. Yes, yes. Not letting it drown with the responsibility. See, when I quit, I already had two kids and they were in school. Okay. So, and I was actively contributing towards household. So that was a big thing. Yeah, I had to have conversation with the family that I'm quitting. So because, everything, finances, everything has to be taken care of. So that is one important thing. But I also explained that this was very important for me, because if I don't do it now, I really didn't want to die thinking that, I didn't take that step. I didn't do what I actually wanted to do. You know, trying and failing is different, but as they say, failing to try is a totally
Absolutely,
different thing.
absolutely. That's
So I didn't want to
inspirational.
be one of those.
Yeah, that's really inspirational. Taking the chance, taking the risk, and listening to your inner voice. It is important.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sujatha. Dr. Pujitha, next question is for you. Coming back to women physical health, what is the importance of gynecological screening? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah. So gynec screening, always we can divide it into three things. Like the first thing is like breast screening, breast cancer screening. And uterine cancers, there are different types, like three types will be there, like ovarian, cervical, and endometrial cancers. So screening, it's all, see, depending upon your age. So first thing is we always take is if any females comes to us, we always take first family history. We have to take into the considerations. If any family history is there, irrespective of age, we start screenings at 30 years. So when you reach 30 years, we have to be a little alert. So that it's very simple. Just go to the gynae clinic and say that your mother or grandmother, or even we say SARS like auntie, maternal side or paternal side, first auntie. If they are also having this kind of any cancers histories, just put a word to the doctor. So what happens is, like, first thing is in case if the female is married, we do pap smear. And one scan, which is going to show the ovary status and endometrial status, and one breast scan. Nowadays, it's not recommended below 40 years. The mammogram is not recommended, like WHO protocol. But if family history is there, it's a patient's choice. If they really want to go for mammogram, is nothing but an X-ray, where the breast will be pressed in between two films and the picture will be taken, which is little painful. So I can say if any family history is there, only you can choose mammogram. If not, we can go for a simple scan of both the breast. So this is the screening process. So if family history is there, start as early as possible at 30 years, or before that also. If you feel like any lump or any difficulties in your tummy, like it may start from irregular cycles to white discharge, abnormal white discharges, or post intercourse bleeding is also very important. Sometimes people will be ignoring. That's fine. This might be because of the intercourse. But no, sometimes it is significant. So post intercourse, if you have any spottings on white discharge along with itching or foul smell, continues in spite of treating if it is recurrent. And if you have any swelling in the abdomen, sometimes we feel it as like a fat. I have seen the youngest women coming to me with 28-week size of pregnancy is nothing but almost 28 centimeters of the mass in the tummy. She always feels like it is just like a fat and keep going to a gym and abdominal exercises and all. Any swellings in abnormal swellings, a lean girl having an abnormal swellings, or any female having abnormal swellings, better go for screening. So it starts from family history. It ends with screening. And there are different types of screenings depending upon your family history, the frequency, and how many yearly ones or twice or whatever it is. Sometimes breast swellings are there. We may call them every 6 months. If nothing is there, we may call them annually. So that's all depends upon the family histories and the area of the detection. The area of detection in the sense cervix or ovary or endometrium, like that. So everything is not fixed, but pap smear screenings will be little fixed. So pap smear is it starts from 30 years, or you can start it as early as after the exposure to the intercourse, like after marriage. So first 3 years we'll be checking every 1 year. After that, once in 3 years for next 3 times, and after that, once in 5 years, more than enough. I've seen females who got detected with cervical cancer at 55th year of her age also. So better not to ignore all those things. I have seen the earliest of the earliest, like 21 years old female without any complaints, just a mass for the abdomen, which was detected as a cancer. So better be alert. Any abnormalities, better to seek the screening.
So the important takeaway is if you have any family history of any cancers, you should be even more aware and seeking screenings. If there is no family history, still it is important that you go for screening process at least once in a year initially, right?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pujitha. Next question is for Divya. Divya, coming back to women in leadership roles. So, what are the trade-offs that a woman will need to make this happen, and is it all worth it?
Yeah. So here's the thing, the trade-off is the need for approval and validation from others. I think that's the one thing that we have to give up. Why I mean by that, recently I was having a conversation with somebody, and she was having a really difficult time with her mother-in-law, and and that's, I think it's bound to happen in families when there are a lot of people living together. There can be difficulties, and and as we continued to have that conversation, and she spoke about, I've tried this and I have tried that, I've tried to help and I have tried to take on responsibilities, but the mother-in-law doesn't want me to do that, and still makes me feel guilty. And the conversation came down to the fact that actually nobody can make you feel guilty without your permission, right? Where does that guilt come from? The guilt comes from the idea that I have to live up to people's expectations. And if I don't live up to people's expectations, then I'm letting them down. I'm letting myself down. I'm not being the ideal daughter-in-law. I'm not being the ideal wife. I'm not being the ideal mother. I mean, the number of women that I have spoken to who struggle with huge amounts of guilt because they're going back to work. And this is a known factor, right? Where a lot of women feel guilty about going back to work after having a child, and when the baby is very young.
Yes.
And even at home, there are all these ideas being propagated that, ideally you shouldn't be leaving your child. And so it's like, if you do go to work by leaving your child at home, you're very lucky that the rest of the family is allowing you to do that. So, and sometimes the conversations would be such that the woman would be trying to explain to me that, I'm working so that I can earn money, so that I can provide better for my child. And I'd say, hey, stop. You don't have to explain why you want to go back to work. You don't have to justify it with the money that you make. I mean, if your husband has also become a father, right? So does he have to justify going back to work? No. Okay. I mean, work is a very important aspect of our life. It's not just about something that gives us a livelihood. It is a place where we can actually use our capabilities, where we can use our gifts and talents and, contribute to other people, contribute to the world, feel good about ourselves, express ourselves. Yeah. And it's also a way in which we get to socialize and connect with people beyond the family and beyond the roles that we play at home. So giving yourself the permission, so remembering that before you are a woman, you're a human. Gender need not be such a big defining part of your identity. I'm not saying it is not a part of your identity. I'm not saying it is not important, but it need not define everything that you do. It need not define the colors that you choose. It need not define the clothes that you choose, the haircut that you have, the kind of jobs that you choose, the kind of friends that it need not define every single thing. Right? So remembering that, and just coming back to your question, just remind me about the question once again, Supreet.
So the question is it all worth it?
Yeah. So the moment we give up this need to be a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother, a good friend, and a whole lot of things, it becomes a lot easier Okay, so that's the only thing that you have to give up. And here's the thing, one last, I think, little technique that I want to tell you. A lot of times what happens is when people don't approve of us, in the families, they tell us, you are leaving your family and going abroad for a project, you're leaving your family and going for that meeting, you're coming so late, etc., etc. Neither do we have to prove a point to the other person, nor do we have to insist that the other person agree with us, because that's also not going to happen. Just let's all remember that each individual has a right to their opinion, and those opinions come from the basis of their own life experiences. So if my mother feels that I should not do things in a certain way, she has a right to that opinion. So rather than saying that no, I reject, and I have to argue about this, or so there are only two ways in which most people deal with it. Either say no, 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 or then we say okay, okay, okay. So agree and accept, or then reject. But there is a way between these. We don't have to do either. We can just take it as a different point of view. So when somebody says, you shouldn't be doing this and you should do it this way, it's like, that's an interesting point of view. Yeah, but you don't have to take up that point of view.
Stop seeking validations.
Yes,
Yes, that's important. Yes, beautifully explained, Divya. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Supreet.
So coming to Sujatha. Sujatha, how did you preserve, through tough times when you took that call of leaving the job?
It is when you are quitting a job and you start something of your own. It is tough, I wouldn't lie, and you do need a lot of resilience. So how did I cope with that period? I had enrolled with a lot of self-help gurus like Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, Vishen Lakhiani. I mean, a lot of them, because they are the ones who can inspire you. They are the ones who can keep you motivated. Because you will not always get the environment. You will be one is very lucky if they are able to get the environment where everybody is trying to motivate you, support you, help you move forward, even though you are not getting results. Because initially, whenever you are starting off something, you will not get. I mean, I don't know. I think 90% of the people don't get result in the very first year or first 2 years. That is why they anyways say that for any business there is a break-even time of 5 years or something like that. So how do you keep yourself going? So I used to attend these a lot of trainings, lot of motivational talks, and every time read a lot of books, and every time it would come one word: persevere. You have to persevere, you have to persevere. Perseverance is what keeps you going. You can't give up. At the same time, you have to keep experimenting, you have to work smart. And that is what I learned. Even though when I was an employee, I was doing good, but then working smart is what I kind of learned when I started my own business. So I got a lot of learning when I started the business. But yeah, so following the motivational speakers, reading a lot of books, keeping that self spirit up, being to persevere and being self motivated. That is not easy, but yeah, that is what pulled me through the
So basically,
phases.
not giving up, and when you are at the verge of giving up, remembering why you started, basically.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Pujitha,
Sure.
next question, which is very common. So, many women experience premenstrual syndrome. So, how can one tell difference between what is normal and what is not normal?
So this is a common question nowadays. Maybe this is little towards recreation side. So nowadays, wives are not complaining. I mean, the females stop complaining. Husbands are coming and talking to me personally, saying that, doctor, I'm unable to bear my wife at that particular point of time. How to handle her? So I say I really pity them, and I appreciate them that they are coming and talking. I always say I'm a female doctor. Why you are coming and meeting me? Now gents are also coming out and they are talking to us. I'm very happy they're trying to help their wives, daughters, or whoever it is. So first thing is PMS. It's a premenstrual syndrome. It's very easy to handle. So, but we should not complicate ourselves. First thing is knowing itself. See, I'm reaching my I'm reaching my period time. So this is a time where I'm going to have my mood swings more. The first thing is, if the patient or the woman recognizes that she's going to have something, itself says that yes, she is capable of controlling it also. Unknowing things, it's a different entity. It's going to be like, yeah, definitely they need a little more support, not only from the gynecologist, maybe the counseling is also required for them. So first, if you know something, try to cope up. First thing is, do exercises at that particular point of time. Maybe there is nothing wrong if you cut off from the society, like talk less, stop thinking about that particular irritating things, what you really get irritated. So, and stop yelling at children. The main thing is, yelling at children at that particular point is going to disturb the whole family. And the same thing will be learned by them. Even the children will be learning the same thing. So here, rather than to be treatment, even I spend more time on counseling them how to handle themselves. First, go for nice exercises, listen to your favorite music, start doing it a week prior to your expected date of period. Start doing it. So keep yourself calm as much as possible. At that particular point of time, you try to reduce your stress also. Reduce your stress at work. Finish your targets early. Finish your things early. You know your date is approaching, so you may not be give the quality life. See, I may not stand for 8 to 9 hours and do a surgery when I may have to postpone my second or third day of my cycle. Sometimes I voluntarily postpone the elective cases which are like being very critical. I don't want to spend or do laparoscopy cases for long prolonged cases. Of course, which is like, it's a self choice. Make your self choices. Be happy as much as you can. Second thing is, there are treatments when it comes to medical. This is like lifestyle changes I'm telling. Cope up with yourself, try to divert, do your favorite jobs at that particular point of time. Don't be so anxious, or don't think about the small things. As Divya was mentioning, don't think about the family stress. Don't take so much at that particular point. Try to be as calm as possible, which is going to help you so much, as well as your family also. Second thing, if it is out of your range, don't get panicked to reach the doctors. There are treatments for them. We can nicely replace. It's not like hormonal therapy for all this thing. There are deficiencies. Simple deficiencies also will be having this kind of PMSs. So simple B complex, vitamin C. Definitely it can. If I replace also, they feel more. The more it's like they have the minimum energy to cope up that PMSs. So coming to the question, how to differentiate the PMS with normal things. See, only if it is when you are reaching that cycle, if your mood swings are more, yes, it is called as an PMS. Throughout the month, if you are getting the same mood swings which are being appreciated, then you have to be little alert. And of course, maybe the family persons should be little alert at this particular point. They have to help her. So why she is having? See, family stress will be there for everybody, though. So we all are working here. We concentrate. We all have some little problems in our families. Try to cope up, try to pick up, whether this is only before the cycle. Rest of the cycles, you are immediately after cycle, or immediately when you start getting bleeding itself, your symptoms will be gone. So if the changes are like that, be alert. This might be just a PMS. So in case throughout the month, be careful. If it is only a week prior to the date of the bleeding, so immediately after cycle, by default, the woman will be sleeping. By default, they won't have the restlessness. They'll be having little soothing atmosphere by default. So this is a way where we have to differentiate from normal PMSs to the mood swings of the rest of the month. But I have seen worst of the worst cases also. If you really have this kind of things, so better always be alert. And in case, see, I have seen patients who are self-harming themselves. Women, we should be very alert where we should not self-harm ourselves. We should be, our family person should help them to go and take them to the doctors. And as I told you in the last session with OC pills, the people are getting addicted to OC pills because their mood swings will be really good. Even I say stop it also, they don't want to continue because this PMSs will be controlled. So that kind of addiction is also not good. So there are treatments for it. Kindly seek the advice. That's it, simple. But I always say, rather than taking treatment, self-treatment is always better for PMS, and which is not very harmful also. Though you take treatment, it is not harmful. But try to cope up with self-testing.
So basically taking it slow, taking that time as an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, and letting your family members also know that I need rest, I need my own private space at this time, maybe that will help. And family
Yes.
support is also important. So if you are married, your spouse should know.
Yeah.
So this is the condition, so that you get support from your family also.
Yes. Maybe this is a time, maybe I just want to store a story of mine. See, maybe it's not related to PMS, but maybe the past question which you have kept to Divya Garu is like, maybe this might be helping for lots of females. See, I'm an obstetrician. I deal with high risk obstetrics. I don't know when I'll be getting a call for a high risk pregnancy, and I have to be there by default within seconds. Sometimes you may not have much time. That can be a feeding time, that can be my time with my child, that can be my time with my husband, or whatever it is. So see how to cope up with children, young children. There is a question which is also going on now. See, young children will understand. They have the capacity of learning things quicker than us. So at this point of age, we can't accept the new things, but children will learn. I have one child, she's 7 years of age, and from 4 years, she started like, Mama, you're not being with me. Why you're leaving? Array, feed me and go. This kind of things are very small, but they're very big to them. So one day I've taken her to the hospital. I went to the pediatric ward. I've shown her Chutku kids. And I told Nana that day I left you because this Chutku girl is coming out. So the mother is having lots of pain. You won't believe, from the next day, she never questioned me when I say I'm going for a delivery. So this is a way we need to tune.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that your kid, empathize with what you do,
Yeah.
and value
So
your
that-
work as well. Yeah.
Exactly. So she's knowing, okay, fine, my mother is not going just for fun or party or something. Yes, she's doing something which is really useful for somebody else. So immediately the woman also got connected with me, and she was telling, she thanked my daughter rather than me. It's like, thank you, Ethika. Thank you so much. You are sending your mom like that. She was so connected. She was so moved. So this is a way where we have to train our family, I guess. So this matters a lot for the children.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing this. I think many of us, women can also try this if it's possible.
Yes.
Letting us
Yes.
know what we do, how our work is important. Thank you for sharing that, Doctor. So, next question to you, Divya. How can we create a supportive environment at home? That facilitates our growth also.
Right. So there are two things that I want to say. One is setting some boundaries. Okay. Now, the moment I say setting boundaries, it sounds like you want to keep people away. That's not what boundaries is all about. It is it's about respecting other people's spaces and respecting your own space as well. Right. So because what happens is, on one hand, we may be talking about how others are not supportive of us and not doing what we want them to do, and at the same time we may be being controlling of what others are doing, or very critical of what others are doing at home. And so to be very critical of the other person and to expect that they would actually support you in every possible way is now very rational, right? So setting some boundaries, what does boundary mean? Boundary means that setting expectations. I think what Dr. Pujitha said was a very good example of setting expectations, right? So sometimes, family members are not aware of what is going on. So sitting down and having that conversation, rather than when something happens and the other person comes in and you feel angry and you lose your temper, that's not going to help. Okay, so looking at, okay, what are some instances when things are not working out the way you want them to work? Having those conversations when both of you or the family members are relaxed, not when you are upset with each other, right? And giving other people their space. That's one part of it. The second part of it that I want to say is that, we don't get to choose family members. Okay, so let's be realistic there. So while we may have some family members who are supportive, we may have some family members who are not very supportive, and that's part of life. What we do need to do is to create a support system. Okay, so it's like our life. If you think of your life as a club, okay, different people have membership to your life club. Okay, so you have premium membership, you have regular membership, and you have generic membership. Okay, so who are premium membership? They are generally people who are immediate family and very close friends. And then you have regular membership, who are probably regular friends, colleagues, and other people. And then you have generic members. They are actually not members, they are people whom you interact with once in a while. Now, what happens is people get into your premium membership, life club membership by default. Generally, that's what happens. By default, your family is a premium member. By default, some of the close friends are your premium member. But there do come times when some of these relationships are not helping you, causing you more harm. The relationships may have become toxic, right? So what we can do is we can downgrade that membership. We don't have to tell that person. It's not about the other person at all. Okay. So now, why downgrade and what difference does it make? It's because when somebody is in our premium membership, then anything that they say has a huge impact on us. Whether they support us, don't support us, impacts us a lot, right? But when you downgrade them, so mentally you decide, so you have to take this decision. If you want, you can write a letter saying that, I've really had lot of love and support from this relationship, but right now the relationship is not working out very well for me, so I'm downgrading this relationship. You can write a letter, okay? So what happens is, next time that person is being extremely critical, etc., you've downgraded them. It doesn't impact you that much. It's like somebody on the street is shouting at you. You don't get impacted, right? In comparison to somebody at home shouting at you. Right. So that's a technique that you could use. So I think setting boundaries for yourself, respecting boundaries of others, being supportive of others. And what do I mean by supportive is not always about doing things for others. Sometimes, stepping back and not insisting on doing things for others, not insisting that other people do things the way you want them to do. So even if you're speaking about a spouse, and if the spouse is taking on responsibilities, insisting that they should do things the way you want them to do, is not very helpful, right? So if there are some drawbacks in the way they maybe clean up the place or look after the child, when I say some drawbacks, it may not be to the perfection that you like it, but so be it. That's part of the deal. So once you make peace with those things, you'll automatically start noticing that, a lot of the entire universe is being supportive of you.
So basically, one has to stop controlling things, controlling everything around.
Trying to control, controlling, trying to change people,
And this technique that you shared is really, really interesting. I'm also going to keep that in mind. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure.
Next question to Sujatha. Sujatha, what are some of the challenges you face regarding catalyzing innovation?
Okay, so being in fashion industry, innovation is the key, because everyday fashion is changing, and we have to be totally at par with the latest trend, the latest fabrics, the latest designs, cuts, colors, everything. Okay, so the challenges that we face is, to be honest, is there are different types of customers. So I am into customized clothing for women. So women, when they come, they see something, and they are they want the same thing. So now this is where I have to convince them that probably, because I know as a designer that thing will probably not suit her, not probably, wouldn't suit her, and we have to tweak it, we have to modify it. So the challenge here is people management, customer relationship, customer management, where I go into the details of explaining how we can modify it to suit her needs and her body better, so that she is comfortable, at the same time she is stylish as well. So that is the customer bit. The other challenge is when we really need to get out and do more in terms of getting more customers, in the sense because this industry is such that there are a lot of competitors. Okay, so that is one challenge, that we have to continuously innovate and dish something different and unique every time, and get their attention, get our customers' attention. So how do we do that? You need a good team. Okay, Okay, so my team, which is there with me, is there with me since 8 years. No one has quit so far, not even in COVID have they quit. So people management, as I said, I mean, if you listen to something like, boutique or brand, one would say that what has, wouldn't related that well to say people management, but that is very important. When you have a very good team, when you have good people, then you can catalyze any kind of idea, and you can, manifest that. It is possible because I have been training them. I have learned from them a lot in the last 8 years, and I have been training them. We are able to understand what we are looking at each other's language, so the time gets saved there, and we are able to brainstorm together, because now we are like a proper team. It's like a proper organism which is, functioning together. Every part is working together and functioning together. So yeah, people management and customer management for our industry is very important, and that is what helps us innovate and catalyze that, in fact, any kind of innovation.
So
I
basically,
hope that
having a
answers the
strong
question.
team is very important.
Yes, a strong team is very important. Yeah.
Thank you, Sujatha. So, Dr. Pujitha, next question is for you. It's a very common question that women deal with. It's what are the some of the best birth control methods?
So, so best control methods is always it's being differentiated into two things, see before children and after children. So before children is like it's always we have very few options. Like one is the barrier, which we usually call as an condoms, and sometimes after this, I mean, maybe occipils, like as we already discussed, occipils they have their certain cutoffs. Like we should not use it for prolonged period. Maybe temporarily, if they really want it for 1 year, 2 years, yes, they can definitely choose it. So the first thing, and we have this loops also, like the loops in the sense property kind of thing, which are being made exclusively, like there'll be little smaller sizes, which is exclusively made for before children for contraception. And there is also a ring form, but acceptancy is very difficult. And if it is accepted, or if a woman can use it properly, yes, that can be used. This ring has to be placed every month. So the first thing, barrier, as I told you, barrier is nothing but condoms. The failure rates are really high. So failure rates are really high, maybe because of tearing off or not using properly or something. But occipils, they have their own risk. If you forget even a single day, the efficacy of becoming pregnancy is more again. And this loop is very comfortable, but we are not very much into usage, because first thing is patient's acceptance will be very less, and family may not accept it because the myths are still there. They're like you may not become pregnant again. They are not good like that. But definitely, it's not like that. You can plan for the loops. They are very safe. If you remove it, the next month itself you can plan for the pregnancies. So, but that is also a very good option. And new rings are the best thing I can say, which are easily available in the market. We can just insert into the vagina. We explain the technique for 1 month. We doctors help them to how to insert, how to remove for one or 2 months if they really want. They can nicely insert it on the first day of the cycle and remove it after 21 days, which is very comfortable. And it is properly sitting. But yeah, technique is very important. If misplacement happens, it's going to be very difficult. So the best, if you ask me, the Nova ring will be my first choice, which is very comfortable and low dose release of the hormones, where we are not taking it orally, so that the systemic side effects, what we are facing with the occipils, it's like we have lots of myths like putting on weight with pills, and lots of acne developing with pills and all won't be there. I won't say you won't get those things with occipils, but if you walk for half an hour, they are the safest mode also. The second best I can suggest is occipils. Third is loop. It is unavoidable. So you can go for the loop. And fourth is the barrier, which is not my preference as such, because the failure rates are really high. So after the first pregnancies, loop is the first option. And one more thing nowadays, loop is nothing but copper teas, because copper will act as a foreign body, and it won't allow the sperm and the ovum to catch up with each other, and no pregnancies will happen. But nowadays, the best thing, whoever are, because that is the age where the irregular cycles occurs, that is the age that ovum release will be little active. And so what we have to do is, the second best option is called Mirena. I should not say directly because everybody were not fit for Mirena. So if you are fit for Mirena, that is the best option. The best option, this is what is the difference between copper T and Mirena is like in copper T, the copper will be there. In Mirena, progesterone, the hormone which is going to give you the contraception action will be there. That is also kept inside for 5 years. We have the copper Ts and Mirenas, we can nicely keep it for inside for 5 years. See, Mirena is the best thing for irregular cycles and any problems apart from that irregular cycle, like ovarian cyst or endometrial thickness, polyp, lots of pathological problems. Mirena is the best solution. Then why can't you choose it? So I always say after the first pregnancy, rather than choosing that copper T, you can use Mirena. So maybe here I have to take this opportunity to remove that myths with Mirena. Least side effects, the same side effects as copper T. We usually explain before inserting inside. With Mirena, the most bad dissatisfaction, I won't say it's a side effect, is like you may not bleed heavily. Every month, whatever the bleeding you used to have won't be there with Mirena. But that's fine. I use the word in my OP, that's okay. Enjoy the period. If you have less bleedings, you won't become anemic and you won't have any other side effects. So this is not a side effect. This is only a dissatisfaction where nothing is going to harm you guys. So scanty bleeding is expected with Mirena, and little bloatingness is also seen with Mirena because it's a progesterone drug. But the percentage it releases into your body is very less. It's micrograms. When compared to the tablets, what you take, like in pills, it will be mg. Here it is micrograms. So it's a beauty and it is going to release inside the uterus. You're not taking anything orally. The systemic side effects, as we discussed, that will be really less. Somehow my first preference after the first pregnancies is Mirena, and I have seen the results. It's not Dr. Poojitha who is talking. It's an experience of my patients also who are very happy with Mirena. First, it takes its a little time, like 4 to 5 months. The contraception effect acts within 1 month, but the effects of Mirena will take around another 4 months. Then later you'll see the magic of Mirena. So you can choose that also. So, and one more important thing is, if you reach above 40, some women may think that you may not become pregnant. But that is absolutely no. You will be fertile till you reach your menopause. As we discussed, that cessation of periods for 1 year, where the follicles has to become 0, then only you may not become pregnant. So don't be in that false myth after crossing 40, why we will get that why we'll get the pregnancy and all. Nowadays it's like females are little active and they are being healthy, and follicles also being healthy. I'm happy to say this actually. In fact, it's a more positive point from the female side. So please be alert till at least you reach menopause. Never think you may not become pregnant till you reach menopause. So the first option, as we discussed before, is like ossiples and Nuvaring. After the pregnancy, it's better to go for Mirena. The second option is copper T.
So if you have any apprehensions, you can always go to your doctor and discuss in detail, and then choose what methods do you want. Thank you so much, doctor. So moving on to next question, Divya. As women, we don't ask enough for ourselves. So is that correct? And how can we change that?
Yes. So it does happen a lot of times because there are a lot of biases that exist in our society. So simple things like, women are not good drivers. Women are not good with numbers. Women, what else? You can also probably name a few biases for me. There are enough and more that exist, right?
Not good with finance.
Yeah. So numbers and finance actually is quite interconnected, right? Yeah. So now what happens with these biases? These are actually biases, which means these are myths and these are not true. But stereotypes have an impact on us because to some extent it is internalized that, we've heard it enough that we also start believing, and then it starts impacting us because then it becomes part of our story, right? So for example, if I'm going to learn driving, I have this thought at the back of my mind that women are not very good at driving. And the person who's teaching me also has that thought at the back of their mind that women are not very good at driving. And that's going to impact how confident I feel about driving. Right. Similarly, so there has been research which has been done. What they did was they would get a couple of women to come into a room and the women would be given maths tests, to complete some maths problems. And just before they would start solving it, one of the researchers would make a comment about women and numbers, the stereotype around that, and what they found was, those times when these comments were made, the performance of women was much lesser in comparison to the times when these comments were not made. So basically, it's not that the comment made a difference, it's a reminder of that stereotype. Okay. Similarly, if a room has more men and less women, then and it's a maths test, women perform worse in comparison to if the room has more women and less men. So you see, even that visual trigger of a stereotype. So yes, it is true that many women, I'm not saying everybody, I think a lot of women have the right kind of circumstances or probably have that internal thing where they drive themselves to do. But I think many of us, and maybe a lot of this is applicable to men as well, can really ask more of ourselves, and what is the starting point is to start working on yourself. So like I said, I think the previous times as well, it's a lot about the only person whom we can really influence. I'm sure all of you can guess who that is us. We can't influence. I mean, think about it. We really can't influence our children also. There's no guarantee they'll listen to what you say. There's no guarantee the spouse will or anybody else will. Right? The only person that we can really influence is ourselves. So starting to work on yourself in terms of learning. So being a lifelong learner, whether it is attending, first starting with self-awareness. So maintaining a journal on a regular basis, thinking about what are some things that went well in your life, what are some things that did not go well, what are some areas that you'd like to develop in, hire a coach if you want to. If there are emotional areas in your life that, like you have experienced trauma or things that you have not been able to overcome, work with a counselor. Yeah. So give yourself, it's this whole idea, put yourself at the center of your life. It's not about being self-centered. You have to be on the driver's seat of your life. It's like, that example is given, right? That when you're on the flight and if you have to wear oxygen mask, you have to put on your oxygen mask first before you can help somebody else. Right. So remembering this, that when you are taking care of yourself in every possible way, when you are providing yourself the environment to grow and do the things that you enjoy doing, when you are, giving your talents and abilities the opportunity to show up and express, then automatically you are making your relationships better. You're also allowing other people to live their lives well. Right. So these are some ways in which we can ask more of ourselves, push out of the comfort zone. If there is certain responsibility that you're taking, which is taking up too much of your time, you don't enjoy it, stop and look at it. Let's not take on this victimhood, which tends to happen with a lot of us, is taking on this victimhood of, see, nobody cares, nobody is doing, nobody is helping. Let's not talk about what others are not doing. Let's talk about what we want specifically. What specific help would we like the other person to do? So if it's like I am having to manage the entire kitchen, rather than just talking about why do I have to do this? Why does this happen to me? Stop and say that, okay, I'm spending a lot of time in the kitchen and here are a couple of things that I'd like to stop doing. And here are a couple of things that I'd like help with. Right. And that's about agency. So moving from, being the victim or expecting other people to take responsibility for you, responsibility for your growth, taking charge of that. I think those are some ways in which we can.
So basically not falling into the trap of self-sabotage and self-pity. Trying
self-pity, self-sabotage, and not giving your responsibility to other people. That also happens a lot, that we wait for other people to tell us that, hey, come on, why don't you try this? Or right. So
thank you, Divya, for that. Next question to you, Sujatha. So what are the secrets of your success and what do you want to achieve next?
Uh, success is actually a very relative term. Success to somebody might be a certain number. Success to somebody might be, reach a certain level. It's a very relative term, but yeah, I can say what wherever I have reached so far, the secret for that is, I was lucky enough, or maybe I had, because I was in the IT field and worked there and been in people management, and also I had learned the trade, so I've been able to manage my employees better. So people management, I have worked with clients when I was in corporate, so I would say I've been able to manage customers also better. So, and being totally, being at par with what is happening around me, because fashion industry, as I said, changes very quickly. So it's not that, there haven't been times where I haven't thought of, giving up, just, going back to the easy life, because entrepreneurial journey is not a very easy journey. So honestly, I have, my son is 12 years old, so he's turned 13 actually. So when I asked him that, when you grow up, what do you want to be, he said, I want to do a relaxed job. And I would say, why? No, because I can see you, you work so much. I said, where? I am so for such a long time I am with you at home. I get to choose my offs, when I decide to be at home, I can be. Then he would think, and oh, maybe then I have seen in movies that, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to work so hard. And also these things are, being fed into a child's mind through different ways, through society, through movies, through whatever they are watching. And also, but that is a fact, it's not a very easy journey. But then everything is like that. Even in a job, it's not very easy. You just get a standard salary unless you really, give your 110%. So everything has its own challenges. So the secret is that, maintain the focus. And when you think of giving up, this is what I always do, which I have learned obviously from the big motivational speakers, is I think back and see where I was and where I have reached. So then when I see that okay, I have reached so much, I've reached here, then I really don't want to give it up. If somebody tells me that, okay, would you want to give up the business now and go back to that job, that IT job, I would say, no ways, no ways. I wouldn't do that. Even if I'm getting, say, 3 or 4 times of what I'm getting now, I wouldn't do that, because I have given so much, invested so much of myself into this. So that is what I think. That is the secret. You think and you see what all you have achieved, which you wouldn't have been able to achieve if you were not on this journey. So that is the secret. And the next question that you asked was, what is next that I want to do? So I want to establish fashion. Rahasya Creations is the brand that, as a world-renowned brand, we have a website. I have a website, rahasya.store. So I want to establish that as a brand. And secondly, I also want to train women, women who are probably not in a stage right now to attend college and do fashion designing and set up their boutiques. I want to train them. So my mission is to train about 100,000 women to learn fashion designing. So I want to, catalyze the process, you can say, and so that they can learn it faster, they can implement it faster, and set up their boutiques or set up their a career in fashion. So that is what I want to do next.
We wish you all the best, Sujatha. That's really inspiring. We hope you achieve all your goals that are there in your mind. Really inspiring. So, next question to you, Dr. Pujitha. What is the one advice that you will give to the women out there?
So I can just say one word, only one thing. If you want me to say, stay happy. First, search your happiness. Everything will fall in place. There is no doubt about it. So if you really want to do whatever, whenever you really want to do whatever you want, and please do it off, that gives you happiness. If you want to take it, that may be taking care of your children, groom them properly. That is also more than enough. If your happiness lies only inside your house, also is fine. Search for the happiness first. And I don't want, I personally don't want to be a heroic woman or something by doing everything and getting stressed out. What I really want, I'll be really clear about it, and I want to just go and freeze to my goals. And I don't want to get stressed out with unnecessarily going for the things which I can't reach also. Let me reach first whatever I can't reach. Let us be happy there. First, fix your targets. That is more than enough for us to reach a certain level. Let us reach there. After reaching there, your family will be gaining confidence on you. Right. Okay, first step, she gained it. And you're happy there, and make others happy. Others in this is first family is important for you, because nowadays we are seeing lots of split families also, which is not required. Let's grow together. Again, keep a target, next target, reach there. So anything landed up with is happiness, dear. Whatever we are going to do is for happiness. I'm doing high risk pregnancies because it's give me immense happiness seeing the mother and child going home happily. So this is my choice. So people always question me, why you want to do so much of hard work? Why can't you go to infertility? So I'm not saying there is no stress in fertility. There is lots of stress in fertility. It's not so easy. In fact, why I didn't choose is like I can't see women crying there. I'm little sensitive. The woman cries, I'll cry. So that is not my choice. But this is more stressful psychologically and physically as well. So it gives me happiness. That's why I'm doing. When I'm successful, when I was rewarded with any awards or anything else, the first persons to be proud, who is going to feel the proudness is like my family. And of course, without them, I can't go. As I told you, without my daughter's support, husband's support, I may not go outside. So first, stay happy, be happy with whatever you are, set a target, reach the target, and stay healthy at the same time. Without health, nothing is going to be there. So first, concentrate on health. See, there are lots of women sitting in front of you who can help you. Entrepreneur, psychology, see the beautiful way how Supreet is going to coordinate with this all women. So this is a good example, setting off an example for all different kind of women. I'm so happy meeting you, all you guys. So this is a beautiful session. Even I was educated now. This is not the field where I'm going to see. It's very nice to meet Sujatha Garu and very nice to meet Divya, and the way you are trying to help Supreet is also really good, coming out with these beautiful sessions and all. So of course, this is also giving me happiness. I'm doing this for my happiness. So stay happy.
The best advice: find your happiness, be healthy. To all the ladies out there. Thank you, Dr. Pujitha. Next question to you, Divya. Is there anyone that inspires you in your career? Can you share story with us, with the audience?
Actually, there is no single person. There are a lot of people who inspire me. And I think some of the clients that I have worked with, Sujatha is somebody I have known. She inspires me with the kind of work that she does. It's really inspiring to hear what Dr. Pujitha just spoke about, why she does this work. I want to give you an example of one particular client. So I work as a growth coach, and this was an executive. She was in a senior position, and so she wanted to work on various things. She basically wanted to work on herself, which in itself is quite inspiring for me, because most times people are focusing on, how can I change other people? But she was, and the role that she was holding was quite a stressful role because she was managing multiple things. And as part of our coaching, there was a assessment sheet, and in that assessment sheet, at the very beginning, when we start the coaching engagement, there are a few questions where the person has to rate themselves. So one of the questions is about how happy are you with your bed? Okay, right. So because it really gets you thinking, right? Because sometimes you have a very uncomfortable bed, and that may be causing a lot of issues. So and her score was pretty low there. And then we kind of completed our coaching intervention. This is a one-on-one coaching intervention at the end of 6 months. And she again has to score, the individual has to score themselves on all those things. And she scored herself, and the score on the bed was very high. So it's like, wow. I said, wow, like what changed? Did you like change the bed? So she said, actually, the change is not in the bed, the change is in my head. Okay. So, my dissatisfaction had nothing to do with the bed. It had nothing to do with the car that I drive. It has nothing to do with the size of the house or the salary that I get. It had a lot to do with the way I was looking at each of these things. So that to me was so inspiring, So yeah, I think when I see people who want to grow, who are not keen on, who don't give in to this temptation to blame the world and blame everybody else, but take on the reins and say that, I'm going to work on this and make a change. They don't ask the question, why me, or why this happened. They ask the question, how can I make a change? How do I move forward? So yeah, thank you.
That was a nice story. So problem is in the head, not in the bed. So we got to work on our head.
Yeah, true for each of us, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Divya. So last question to you, Sujatha. What advice would you give to someone who is trying to, become an entrepreneur?
Okay, first of all, the advice that I would give is, if you fix it in your mind, you just make it your goal, and you don't just give it up. Don't give it up, because don't give up. You will reach there someday or the other. Just don't give up. These are the words which kept me going throughout my journey. And another thing that I would like to say is, try and find a mentor, or maybe an accountability partner or somebody, because they are the ones who will be able to assist you in your lows. They will not have all the solutions, but you will be able to bounce off ideas. You will be able to discuss your challenges and issues, and you will get some kind of headway. You will probably get your answers. So try and find a mentor. That is very important. Third advice that I would give is, many times it so happens that people want to become entrepreneur, but they are not very sure as to what they want to do, because there are so many things, and we may not have a particular skill that we want to pursue, right? So keep your eyes and ears open. Try and get cues and hints from universe, because universe is always talking to us. Like, I'll give you my example. I've done software engineering, but I was always in my childhood. I would assist my mom. She's a very creative person. She used to stitch clothes only for me. So we together used to design my clothes. We used to go to the market, buy fabrics, and she would then stitch it. And also that was a very hobby. It was her hobby. But I grew up seeing all those things. And when I was working in one of the companies, I still remember. I give this story to. I still tell this story to everybody. Had not given up this passion of mine. I used to stitch my own clothes when I used to go to work. Not all of them, but yeah, few. And once I had worn one of these nice dress, and my manager, he actually commented that, wow, it's a very nice dress, and you're looking nice in it. So I was very happy, and I said, yeah, I designed it and I stitched it. So he was like, wow, so someday maybe you will be having your own brand. So we all just, all the employees, everybody, we just laughed it off. And but when I was planning to quit, this is what came in my head. So this was a subtle cue, a subtle hint that universe had thrown. That seed was planted in my head, and it started growing. So my advice is, it may not always be very apparent as to what you want to do. The things might not be very clear. So be very attentive to the hints and cues and messages that the universe is throwing, and you will get the answer, and you will be able to start your journey as an entrepreneur. So that is what I would like to advise. Thank you, Supreet.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sujatha. Thank you so much. So it was such a pleasure to have you all here today for this session. I personally learned a lot from all three of you, and you know, I think I have made the mental note of things that I'm gonna remember and apply in my daily life to manage things. So thanks a lot. Thank you so much. So because we are short in time, we'll close the session. If you have any questions, you can, write to us at wellness@myswish.in. We'll try to answer those questions. We'll send it to our panelists and they will answer those questions for you. Thank you so much once again. And you were a wonderful audience. And the last thing I would like to say is women need to support women. They need to, encourage. They need to not criticize. That's what true women empowerment means. So take care and God bless you all. Thank you so much once again for your time.
Thank you, Supreet.
Thank you. Thank you all.